580 Sports Talk on the air on a as good as it can get week one weekend for the Chiefs despite losing to the Detroit Lions. Josh Allen turnover machine.
Ugh.
We still will not get Rodgers versus Mahomes. I'm telling you, the football gods are like, nah, man, you ain't getting that matchup. Not happening. Still not getting it. Maybe next year. There's always hope we get, Aaron Rodgers versus Patrick Mahomes, but this year ain't happening. We will get to that. Chris Jones contract details are out. We're going to smash all of that, plus new power couple. We got a new power couple going on, ladies and gentlemen. Who's excited for the power couple?
You want to tell us who it is?
Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift? What? Maybe, just maybe.
I heard
it was a whole ploy.
So I'm not.
You need to calm down, Jake.
I'm shaking it off.
I'm not super into the pop culture world. I don't really get it. I don't follow it. I'm a little busy with sports because I'm a man. I've got a close friend who is an obsessive Taylor Swift fan, like obsessive. And she was giving me the scoop last night. We went out and grabbed dinner about Taylor Swift and her most recent boyfriend and like all the music she wrote about. Apparently, real creep, real bad guy.
Don't know.
Yeah,
don't know that.
Bad sense of humor.
Yeah, not a great
to be charitable to Maddie Healy from the 1975. That would be how I would describe.
All
it.
I know is that El Trovador.
Yeah, I mean, he might be
made his move.
I was gonna say he might be actually the most normal guy she's dated in a long time.
Sucre. What is the equivalent of, how people are always saying, oh, is somebody doing a sports ball? What is the equivalent of saying that about pop culture news? Is somebody Us Weeklying?
Is someone doing a tabloid? That's a great question. I don't know.
Yeah, we don't have an equivalent, do we?
No, because
we're
too busy watching a game.
We'll workshop that. We've only got an hour today.
Yeah,
we'll workshop.
We got Royals doubleheader today. It's a traditional doubleheader. So that comes up at 3:00. So we are off the air at 3:00. So a lot to get into. We will talk about the madness that occurred last night, Monday Night Football. But first, we got to get to some contract details of Travis Kelce because I've changed my tune a little bit, a smidge, a little bit. If you want to interact with us, hit us up on our text line. Very easy to get to, 785-272-9429. That's the same as 272 WIBW on your touchdown phone. That's right. Way back in the day. Do people even do that anymore? Like, the numbers on the phone. When was the last time you dialed a phone?
T9?
No. Like on the phone, like to dial a number and you use the letters.
I don't know. I feel like I've done that before.
Okay.
Yeah.
WIBW is 9429. I don't know if you guys knew that.
No,
yeah.
I did. Every once in a while, I'll mention that. Yeah.
But also, you can go to our YouTube page, 580 Sports Talk. It was very simple, very easy to go to. Details of it. And we know the incentives. Here is what the deal is. All right. Up to $25 million for Chris Jones. 19.5 base remains the same. $1 million for 35% playing time. So as long as he doesn't get hurt, he's going to get $1 million. Another $1 million for 50% playing time. Feel like as long as he doesn't get hurt, there's 2 million bones, right? $1.25 million for 10 sacks. I think he's getting 10 sacks. You guys, not so sure. So if he does that, then he gets another $1 million if he gets 10 sacks. So right there, as long as he plays and doesn't get hurt, he will get 10 sacks. He will get $3.25 million. Then he gets another $500,000 for 15 sacks, $1 million for first team All-Pro, and a Super Bowl appearances, $2 million for Defensive Player of the Year, and $2 million more for a Super Bowl win. As long as he stays healthy, I think he'll get 10 sacks because I think that's how good he is. He will make $3.25 million. Guys, do you know what the fines were for one Chris Jones thus far?
Are you counting the missed game check?
Yes.
It's in excess of $3 million.
Over three.
$3.6 million.
Well in excess.
He can make $3.25 million if he plays 50% of the time and gets 10 sacks. Okay. First team All-Pro. He can make another $1 million.
Mhm.
Go to the Super Bowl, another $1 million. So there's some, that to me, right? I don't think he's going to get Defensive Player of the Year. But there's a chance that he makes first team All-Pro, so he can get another $1 million. I think there's really, $2 to $4 million more that he can make. I really, really do.
Okay.
Here's where I change my tune a little bit. I said yesterday this is win-win for both. No, this is a win for the Chiefs. And the reason why this is a win for the Chiefs is they can still franchise tag him next year.
Yeah, that's the big one for me, too.
That is the reason why. I think what happened here is that the Katz brothers and Chris Jones, they did what sometimes a lot of us do when we got an ego. I'm irreplaceable. You can't just have somebody else step in my shoes. I am, insert your name right here, right? There are a lot of people out there who think that. I hate to be the bearer of bad news, but there are very few people who are irreplaceable. I'm replaceable. You guys are replaceable. Everybody's replaceable in the radio industry. Like, that's just the way it is. He thought he was irreplaceable, and he thought the Chiefs would cave. Guess what? They're not. And if this goes to show anything, they will never cave. There's one guy who's irreplaceable, and we all know who that is. It's 15. And if 15 wants something, they'll do it. They will do it. He's irreplaceable. He might be the only irreplaceable guy in the NFL, to be honest with you. So I think the Katz brothers, and I think Chris Jones, last week, after the Chiefs said, fine, don't show up. We're not going to pay for you. And then the Chiefs held them to 14 points. I think Chris Jones goes, oh, crap. Because now, every time that I don't show up, I'm not going to get paid. Then they can really put the screws to me for next year. So instead, what the Katz brothers did was, I think Chris Jones said to the Katz brothers, we got to make this thing work. So they go back to the Chiefs. And I think the Chiefs did Chris Jones a solid. I think the Chiefs are like, Chris, we love you. We do. So here's what we're going to do. This is our way of, Dan, rescinding the fines. They can't technically do it, but what can they do? Chris, if you play 50% of the time, you're only going to basically lose out on $1.6 million.
You can go earn that if you ball out of control and we win the whole thing. You get all that money back.
If you are really elite, then you're going to make more money than we even were going to pay you. That's where the Chiefs did him. They didn't have to do this. The Chiefs could have just said to Chris Jones, Chris, show up. We ain't signing it. You're just hurting yourself. But I think the Chiefs also knew this. We still need you. So I think the Chiefs looked at this and said, all right, Chris, we'll help you out because we need you. This basically means this whole holdout didn't occur. And the only thing that it really cost us maybe was a loss. And that was it. Because if Chris Jones plays, I don't think the Chiefs lose this game. I really, really don't. Now, granted, maybe he doesn't make that much of an impact, but in a 1-point game, who knows, right? Maybe you get a sack. I have no idea. But I look at it as the only way that the Chiefs caved is if they were guaranteed not to franchise tag Chris Jones. Now, some people are saying, Jake, they're not going to franchise tag Chris Jones. It's $30 million to the cap. We'll just use the compensatory pick. I think they will tag it. And here's the reason why. There will be more than one team because that's what you need. You need two. Because some people will look at this and say, Jake, obviously the Chiefs are not going to pay Chris Jones. All the teams know that. But you want to know what the teams want? They want to make sure they get their guy. Because when you go to free agency, you don't know if you're going to get their guy. You really, really don't. Because somebody could just say, we'll give you $35 million. And you were willing to give him 30, but you couldn't give him 35. There will be more than one team who will want Chris Jones on their team next year. And the Kansas City Chiefs will then get more than a third-round pick. Will they get a first-round pick? Probably not, because they did lose a little bit of leverage in this situation. Will they get a second-round pick? and that's it. That's probably a good chance. That's probably what they're going to get. But is a second round pick number 45 better than a third round pick? Yes, it is. And all you'd have to do is make sure you keep $30 million worth of cap space open. And I think they can do that. So to me, I think Chris Jones's camp and company and group realized, well, our bluff didn't work. And the people that we're going up against are that they're not going to fold. Like, this is a group that sticks to their guns. But because it's a good relationship, because they still want to make this the last dance, they allowed you, Chris Jones, a way to recruit some of these. They didn't have to do it, but they also want him there. They want a good locker room, and they want to make this thing roll. Well, that's to me why I think the Chiefs, if you want to give a winner or a loser in all of this, I think the Chiefs are on the better end of this, because you're going to get contract year Chris Jones. You are. Do I think that they are going to sign him long-term? No, I don't. I think that ship has sailed. And it also tells me that if this is what occurred, they weren't close. Remember I said, are they really going to do this whole song and dance for if they're $3 million apart? Like, it makes me think that the Chiefs are offering Chris Jones $26 million and he wants 30. Over 4 years, that's $15 million. Or the Chiefs are saying, we'll give you $50 million guaranteed. You mentioned the Javon Hargrave contract, right?
Mm-hmm.
$85 million total.
84, yeah. 84 and 4.
$40 million guaranteed, right? Because he's the same age as Chris Jones.
A year older, yeah.
Yeah, right? I think the Chiefs were looking at that going, Chris, you're going to be 30 next year. We're not tearing up this contract. So if you think we're doing that, we're not. So you're going to start a brand new contract next year? We're not going to give you 4 years, 110 million and 80 million guaranteed. You're not getting that from us. We're not risking it. So I do think that they were a lot further apart than we initially thought. Whether that is the Chiefs went with 25 million a year and Chris Jones wants 31 and it was 2 years instead of a 4-year deal. They were not close. And this is a way for the Chiefs to get what they want, but they still control everything. They control everything. And Chris Jones gets what he wants, which is as much money as he possibly can now and even more. And if they go to the Super Bowl, do you think the Chiefs are going to care about giving Chris Jones an extra $2 million if they go to the Super Bowl?
They'll be happy to do it.
Absolutely. So Chris Jones still gets a chance to make his big money. That he does.
My only point of disagreement, because I mean, if you're in the position where you want to pick a winner and loser of this transaction, yeah, the Chiefs come out on the better end because they still get the franchise tag availability. And it was Jeremy Fowler of ESPN yesterday afternoon who reported that he was hearing that was negotiated out of it. That is now known not to be the case. I would disagree with this, with the notion that the Chiefs did a favor for Chris Jones, though. And the reason why is they had to get him.
They do need to help him. Their defense is better with him.
Wait, for sure. Yeah. And I think, it's nice that Chris Jones is now able to recoup that money that he has given back in fines, and he can make that back. And the Chiefs get him back, and he's able to get on the field and all that. But if they hadn't offered that, they're probably not getting him back until week 8. That's the week he put on it. So that would be my only point of contention there, is that I wouldn't consider that a favor to Chris Jones. I think that's more so just the price it takes to get him on the field now. But I mean, look, whatever happens in February or March or April, I mean, it's probably going to be March or April. It just depends on when the Chiefs get the offer they like the best. AKA depends on when the Bears decide to finalize their trade. He will be a Bear. He's going to be a Chicago Bear. I'm so certain of it. 100% positive.
You gotta mark that one down, dude.
Yeah, no, go ahead.
We'll put a pin in it.
Yeah, I will stick to that prediction. He's going to be a Bear. Whatever happens then is going to happen then this coming spring. But for now, what matters is they got the guy. They're a better team. They have a better chance of winning week by week and long term. So whatever it took to get it done at this point.
And see, some people are saying, "Oh, they're not going to tag Chris Jones."
They will as a procedural thing more than anything.
To me, they will, because as long as two teams want Chris Jones, the adage now of like the Frank Clark situation, they gave up a first-round pick to get the rights to negotiate with Frank Clark. So you're not only paying him, but you're giving up capital. I think that is going to start going away a little bit in terms of how much you're going to give up. Because I do think GMs are going to start to get a little smarter. Like what the...
That is a wild prediction. And I'm not trying to put you... Yeah, desperate GMs will always be dead. There is always someone who is trying to save their job.
And that's what I'm saying. Like there will be two GMs who will want to say, I don't want to go to free agency with Chris Jones. I want him on my team. And that's how you can tag him.
Let me play devil's advocate, though, on this. If I'm a general manager, I'm looking at the Kansas City Chiefs who have employed Chris Jones. They're the only franchise that Chris Jones has ever known. They drafted him. They signed him to a second deal. And if they don't feel like he's worth 4 years, whatever guaranteed, moving into the future, that might make me question whether or not he's worth that to me. Because if he's not worth it to them, because he has been their best defensive player, and he has been a first-team All-Pro, 15.5 sack guy on the interior, if they don't want to pay him into his 30s, when they paid Travis Kelce well into his 30s, they have shown that, yes, I think the tendency throughout the league, not just with the Chiefs, is once guys get on the other side of 30, you don't want to be in a long-term agreement with them unless they play quarterback. But the Chiefs broke that rule for a guy who's going to the Hall of Fame in Travis Kelce. They won't break it for Chris Jones. That might make me a little bit concerned. And if I know that every negotiation that Chris Jones is going into, it's, I want 4 years, I want X guaranteed, I'm not budging off that number, you're going to give me what I want or I don't report. Then if you make a trade for him and you can't get something done, you're stuck, or the Chiefs are stuck with a $32 million cap hit. That's quarterback money for a defensive tackle.
I think Jones and Kelce are, I know you're playing devil's advocate. I think Jones and Kelce are two completely different situations because Kelce only costs $15 million a year compared to Jones is going to be wanting 30. I think that's the difference. I think if Kelce was asking for $28 million, I don't know if the Chiefs would give it to him. And I think Brennan's right. There's somebody's going to be desperate. Like Ryan Poles right now, the GM for the Bears, is going to be desperate at the end of this year.
Desperate now.
I think there will always be at least two teams who will want Chris Jones. You just need two. Now, I don't think what you're saying, Dan, is too far-fetched. I really don't, because they don't have any leverage. Every GM knows that the Chiefs are probably not going to sign Chris Jones now long-term. Something couldn't get done. If you're Chris Jones, unless you drop your number, and it surely doesn't look like he is because he wants to make that big giant bag, I wouldn't risk it. I think $80 million guaranteed is worth it, but maybe he wants $100 million guaranteed, and he's risking injury in this year to do so. Fine by me. But I still think free agency, for a sec. Let's say the Bears, right? Let's say the Bears finish what, fifth or sixth worst record in the NFL.
That might be generous.
Well, yeah, that looked entirely likely based on how they played in week one.
I'm just like
they'll be bad.
They're going to be bad. Let's just say they're top 10 worst team. Okay, let's say they pick 8. That means they got the 40th pick in the NFL draft.
Mm-hmm.
I think the 40th pick would do it enough. I think a 1 second round pick for the rights to get Chris Jones. That's all it is. You just need somebody to say, I don't want Chris Jones negotiating with the Dolphins. I don't want him negotiating with the Texans. I don't want him negotiating with, the Bills. I don't want him negotiating with whoever. Does that make sense? Like,
yeah,
you now you get your guy. You get your guy.
That's why the tag and trades are so popular.
Yeah. And that's why I think the Chiefs still will tag him.
I mean, it just makes more business sense. Like if you don't do that, then you've got to figure something out by March 15th. You have to have your entire future planned out by then.
Yeah.
Because otherwise he's going to, or 14th, 17th, whatever. Because then if you don't have something done, he is gone. In fact, really,
and you won't get your compensatory pick until
the year after.
The year after, which will be you will get a 3rd round pick.
Whereas if you use the franchise tag, you have until June 15th, around then. I think it's mid-June to get something done. And ideally, it's done before the draft, and then you get picks sooner. But if not, if something falls apart and you get picks next year,
the other thing too, though, is that tag number is so big.
You're gonna have to fit some money in just to keep that $30 million on the cap. But the good news is
Jones would play on that tag. That tag number is so big. I don't think he's holding out. I think that if he's tagged, he's tagged. He'll play. He will play. He will walk through that front door for $32.4 million.
Well, I don't think he'll even get to that chance because the way I look at it is someone says, "Oh, they're not going to tag him. They'll just let him walk and take the compensatory pick."
No, they won't.
No, they won't. And you're ready for this? Here's the reason why, too. The Chiefs, would someone give up a 3rd round pick to have the rights to Chris Jones? Just 1 3rd round pick. Yes, they would. Is that going to be a higher pick than a compensatory pick? Yes, it is, no matter who it is. And also, when do you get that pick? You get that pick a year earlier. The only question is if they can make sure that they stay under the cap when the new league year starts, he gets tagged, then within 3 days of the illegal tampering period, he will be traded. If because they're still going to work with a deal here. I love how, like Mike Evans is like, I'm not going to do a deal during the season. This is the deadline. Baloney. You want to know why? Because if the Buccaneers meet his number, he'll sign it during the season.
Yeah.
During the season.
If we're being honest, though, I don't really think saying that publicly is about saying I'm not going to negotiate anymore. I think that's more about getting in front of the story because I don't know if you saw this on Sunday morning. I believe it was. I think it was Sunday morning, maybe Saturday morning. The Bucks aren't. It's not about we can't negotiate anymore. It's more so the Bucks have said, hey, we're not negotiating.
So they went the Tyrann Mathieu way.
Yeah.
They're like, Tyrann Mathieu wanted to be a Chief, but the Chiefs were like, nah, we're going to move on.
Yeah. And I think when you hear that, I think that's more so the play. And that's being a good agent, honestly, is saying that publicly, because then you're getting out in front of the story.
And that's why I think if the Chiefs in a month offer Chris Jones the number he wanted, he's signing. He's signing. Everybody
would.
So that's why I think the Chiefs have either one, they're just flat out moving on, or 2, they look at this and go, we're not paying you, Chris. So either show up right now. Here's a bunch of money. If you're really, really good, then you'll make a little bit more. And if our team does well, you'll do a lot more. You should be lucky we're doing this for you. And the Chiefs do get him. I mean, it's not, 90-10, the Chiefs de-pantsed Chris Jones. I'm not trying to make it out to that. But I do think the Chiefs end up on the better side of this, at least 60-40 when it comes to how this all went down. This holdout, Spotrac tweeted this out. Or no, this was Jason Fitzgerald from Over the Cap. He tweeted this out. He goes, we've had better holdouts. Like, this did not work out for Chris Jones. It really did. It worked out for Nick Bosa.
Yeah.
It worked out. It did not work out for Chris Jones. But he still has to get it. And I'm happy because the Chiefs have a chance to win the whole thing. And frankly, with what occurred over the weekend, I think the Chiefs, if the season were to end today, I think the Chiefs are in the playoffs, even though they lost their game. Because they lost to an NFC team by 1 point. Like, I think they finished 7th in the standings. I think they're 7th right now in the standings. Like, no joke. Just off the top of my head, they lost by 1, and they lost to an NFC team. So the teams in their division, like the Chargers, they're 0-1, but who did they lose to? They lost to the Dolphins, so they're 0-1 in the AFC. So they're ahead of the Chargers right now. Like, who else lost to an NFC team by 1 point? Like, this weekend was really good for the Chiefs.
Yeah. The other way to look at it is it's literally the Chiefs and it doesn't matter.
The Titans lost to an NFC team by 1 point.
Did they really? So there'd be the Chiefs and the Titans.
There you go.
How about that?
I don't know what it would come down to then, if it's points scored or points allowed.
I don't know.
How close are we to a coin flip then?
Where would we meet? What's halfway between Nashville and Kansas City?
Mount Vernon, Illinois.
They got it.
Gerardo.
They got truck stop there to film the coin flip like in Friday Night Lights.
St. Louis is actually midway between
Yeah,
the
it
two,
might be St. Louis.
It's St. Louis. We'll get a quick timeout. We're going to talk about what happened yesterday. Last night was bonkers. We'll get to that next. Jake, Brandon, Dan with you on a Tuesday. We got Royals baseball coming up in 26 minutes. Just need Bobby Wood Jr. to hit a couple home runs, and then we're good.
Do you know the last time he hit? Do you know the last time he hit a home run?
It's been about a week.
September 1st.
Yeah, it's been about a week.
Almost 2.
11 days.
Yeah.
Well, he's got 2 games today.
Yeah,
He's
chances.
He's going to play both. So it's been 11 days. Come on, Bob. Just need 2 more home runs, and then we're good. Enough Royals. Last night, what happened?
Yeah, incredible game.
So I put my kids down at that sounds kind of bad. I took them to bed at about 7:30. I get to the TV and I turn it on and I see Zach Wilson. I'm like, the hell? I was like, no. I was like, wait, what? So I rewound it and I saw the injury and I thought to myself, whoa, what just happened? And the way he went down, I was like, that's either a broken ankle because his ankle was all funny, or what injury did he have? He had a calf injury. What injuries do normally happen when you got a calf injury? An Achilles injury. So I was like, it's either a broken ankle or an Achilles. Either way, he's done for at least 6 weeks, and he might be done for the year. I can't imagine what that building truly went from. When he ran out with the flag on 9/11, Jets.
Interesting choice given his supposed views on the events of September 11, 2001.
And I'm like, they're just so amped. They're just so excited. I don't think you can put it into words. And people have tried to who are there. Just like it's not like the air went out of the building. It's more than that.
It's like when you were 6 and you got an ice cream cone and you got to lick it once and then it all fell on the sidewalk.
Oh,
Except that ice cream cone was your entire identity.
Yes.
Yeah.
and it cost your team $40 million.
Yeah.
No. So that was the first play of the game I saw. I got the game turned on late. So the first play I saw is Rodgers get sacked. And then like he's standing there and then he goes down to a seated position. And after I watched the replay, my first thought was Achilles, because we've seen guys like stand and walk. Like Kobe Bryant made 2 free throws on a torn Achilles, right? Like he was moving on. He could put a little weight on his foot.
He wasn't rolling around in pain. If you got a broken ankle and it's just, like snap, you're in pain.
Well, and
you're in pain.
The thing is, too, and you could see this on his face, the shot of him sitting down, he knew. He knew instantly that it was over.
A lot of those guys do.
Oh, yeah.
I remember Eric Berry took off his gloves right in the middle of the field and just laid there. Just sat on his butt, like straight up, like not in any pain because it's just it's tore from the bone.
And comparing to other players who have had this injury, I didn't see the shot of just his calf until last night. When I think I was watching Scott Van Pelt, and that's when I saw it. It looked just like Kevin Durant.
Yeah.
Just like when KD
like
got
a rubber
hurt.
band.
Like a small little detonation in the calf.
I mean, it's kind of gross, especially I'm not really squeamish, but it's just kind of weird to look at. But you just see the calf vibrate.
It was no Kevin Ware Louisville injury.
Well, no, not
one of the rare times though where the internet doctors, the Twitter doctors, were actually correct.
Yeah,
they were like, no, this is an Achilles, and oh yeah, they were right. They called it.
Yeah.
Usually they're alarmists. Usually I hear like the David Chows of the world say it's an Achilles. It's probably like, oh, he like turned his ankle. He'll be back in the third quarter. But no, in this case, it was that obvious what had happened. And you saw, Robert Saleh.
He knew too.
Pale.
Yeah.
Like
I got to coach Zach Wilson again.
You've never seen a coach look like that on the sideline. Just that.
Arkansas State head coach Butch Jones against Oklahoma when he was literally crying.
Yeah, that was tough to watch. They hired Butch Jones, man. I don't feel that much sympathy.
But then they win the damn game. Let's give the Jets, let's give Robert Saleh a ton of credit. That could have fallen apart.
Saleh and that defense, they are as good as – now, the Bills, I think, were actively bad, but that Jets
Josh Allen in particular.
Yeah. Oh, my God.
In fact, I think the Jets didn't win this game. The Bills lost this game, and I will prove me wrong or change my mind. All the Bills had to do was not turn it over, and they win this game by 10 points.
Sure,
easily.
Yeah.
They win it 13-3. But, and this is the other thing that happened yesterday, turnover machine. Josh Allen decided to show up, and he tried to be the MVP.
He looks like a rookie again, man.
But sometimes, you know what? Less is more. When you're trying to hit on that girl and then you really want her to like you and you're putting all your best moves out there, sometimes you just got to sit back. And if he would have just handed it off, this also goes on Ken Dorsey. Your quarterback is prime Jay Cutler right now going, screw it, and just chucking it down the middle of the field.
Yeah, I think Ken Dorsey stinks, by the way. I think
this is more so the Bills choked and coughed it up and gave them the game. If you look at the EPA, you guys know I'm not a big, like gigantic stat nerd, all that kind of stuff.
Jock LeBon, yeah.
I do understand a little bit of it. I try to be, like a smarter jock.
Yeah.
But
the jock who goes to class.
Yeah, exactly. The guy who actually graduated. Zach Wilson was better for his team.
Yeah, he was.
Than Josh Allen. If they needed a Herculean performance to win in overtime, and the other team had 4 turnovers. Like Josh Allen, Now, just because I'm not going to overreact for the Bills, just like didn't overreact for the Chiefs. Like, this is very, very simple, right? Josh Allen, you can't turn it over. But the more underlying problem is Josh Allen turns it over. This is who he is. Kadarius Toney, we don't know if he's got drops yet. We got to find out.
Sure.
But Josh Allen has been a turnover machine. He has had 30-some turnovers in the last 2 years now. If he just doesn't turn it over, and Ken Dorsey, this is on you as well. This is on McDermott, and I wonder how much I got to call the defense plus be the head coach is. Instead of seeing the full view, he's so engrossed on the defensive side of things. Like, how do you, if you're Greg McDermott, not tell to Ken Dorsey?
Sean McDermott.
Sean McDermott. Who's Greg? Greg McDermott.
Creighton coach.
Yeah, fantastic coach, right? If you're Sean McDermott, how do you not buzz up to Ken Dorsey and say, you need to tell 17 to holster it? I don't care. Or go up to him and say, if you throw another pick, I'm breaking you and your girlfriend up, who's like the really hot
Holly Steinfeld.
Yeah.
So
they might have broken up, by the way. That was also part of my.
The decision making for Allen was so bad, and I'm not even just thinking about the interceptions he threw. There was a play. They're going left to right on the screen as you're watching, and it was not a designed run for Allen. It was a scramble around the left side, and he's got a chance to get out of bounds, and he just tries to go Superman leap into two defenders, and I watched that go, what are you thinking about? Like,
is the playoff game, Dan?
No.
Was that fourth and whatever?
Was it the goal line? No, it was the difference between like the 35 and the 36.
I know exactly what play you're talking about.
And that, to me, is more emblematic than any of the passes he threw, that his decision-making, for whatever reason, is suboptimal. And I think he's got all the physical talent in the world. That much is very obvious. But I think we have to go back to asking the question we were asking when he was drafted. Even in a best case scenario with Josh Allen, I think we've arrived at the best case scenario for Josh Allen's NFL career. He's a starter. He got paid. He's a guy that you're comfortable making your franchise quarterback. Can you win? Can you win big games? Can you keep from losing a game that you have no business losing when your quarterback makes decisions like this? Look at Josh Allen's track record. You know, he's never won an overtime game.
Yeah,
0-5.
Yeah.
Like,
is he pressing? Like,
yes.
you mentioned this yesterday.
Yeah.
You are not big on the Bills skill guys outside of Stephon Diggs.
Yeah, I think Dan mentioned that too.
But, it was, and then maybe both of you guys mentioned this. And you both have said, that, rookie tight ends, hard to incorporate. Gabe Davis, kind of just a guy. They don't have a great run game.
Offensive line did not look good.
They didn't look good. But the other thing too, and we kind of know this. Some wide receivers get a bug in their quarterback's ear saying, throw me the ball, throw me the ball, throw me the ball. I need to get the ball. I need to get the ball. Mm-hmm. Who was like that for the Chiefs? Tyreek Hill. And there has been a lot of people say, this is going to free up Patrick Mahomes because now he doesn't feel like he needs to throw it to him. You know who said that last night? Troy Aikman.
Mm-hmm.
Troy Aikman said that. Sometimes, you got that wide receiver, and I'm going to guess it was 88 for the Cowboys, where he's, they just say, you got to get me the ball. And because they're so good, because they're a dynamic playmaker, you as the quarterback feel like, you know what? Sometimes I got to force it in there. So I still think the Bills are going to be a 13-12 win team. I do. I think their defense is pretty good. I think they're going to be fine. But to me, if we're going to compare the Chiefs and the Bills right now, to me, we kind of that's who Josh Allen is, and we still don't know about Kadarius Toney.
Yeah, no, I see where you're coming from.
Don't. I still think they're going to be fine. I still think
they'll be better than this.
Will the Jets or the Bills have more wins?
I think the Bills.
Okay.
Bills.
See, and I think so too.
Let me ask a question. Funniest possible answer. Who is going to start the most games for the New York Jets quarterback this year? Because they can't do the Zach Wilson thing again, because the Zach Wilson thing is what led them to Aaron Rodgers in the first place. And we saw the proof of concept last night that is a roster that is just dying for high-level quarterback play, and it's the only thing they're missing, right?
Not
They've
even
got
high level.
Brees Hall looked great in his first
He's
game back.
good.
He and
I
Dalvin
couldn't
Cook,
believe how good he looked.
he and Dalvin Cook are going to complement each other so well in that backfield.
Garrett Wilson is the second coming of Justin Jefferson.
Yes, he is a real live star. The defense is absolutely
Quentin Williams, the monster,
terrific. Sauce Gardner's great. Like, they've got all the pieces except for the quarterback, and they can't do it. Like, Robert Saleh is, I guarantee you, in the general manager's office saying, we can't do this again. We've got to start making some calls. We cannot do the Zach Wilson thing again. We have a Super Bowl team with a European Euro Bowl, NFL Euro Bowl quarterback.
Yeah.
We can't do it.
I saw this joked about on Twitter last night, but honestly, it's probably the best they could possibly do. And it'll take a few weeks. Jameis. Seriously. Who he's going to throw a ton of picks, but right now, who would legitimately be available who is better than Jameis Winston? It ain't Carson Wentz. It ain't Chris Streveler.
Matt Ryan.
I
I'm a
Matt
Matt Ryan guy,
Yeah,
and I don't think I can do
He
Matt
looked
Ryan.
pretty cooked last year.
No, Jameis is
Because their rookie, Jake Haener, he's suspended for 6 weeks. Like, dude, what are you doing? You're a rookie. Why are you doing
their
this?
backup
Jameis
for the
Saints.
no for the Jets.
Oh, for the Jet? Oh, I couldn't tell you.
Oh, their third guy?
Yeah.
Zach Wilson.
It's not White Mike. He's gone.
No, he's in Miami
Mike
now.
White's in Miami.
They don't have one.
You
They
think-
did not have one on their 53.
Do you think the Lions would take a call on Bridgewater?
Yeah, probably.
No, because
I think so.
I'm with you. And you don't even need him to be good. You need him to be Kroger brand.
You need
Alex
to be able
Smith.
to run an offense
Yeah.
that wasn't screen passes and handoffs, which
Yeah,
they clearly didn't
he
trust
was
him.
negative EPA and still
Don't worry.
needed all that.
Don't worry. They do have a practice squad quarterback. They've got the laser show, Tim Boyle,
That's
who,
incredible.
ironically enough, one of Aaron Rodgers' buddies.
So it's the Jets won the battle. They did, but
they ain't winning the war.
they
though.
lost
No.
their general.
Yeah.
They did, and Zach Wilson just ain't it.
He ain't it.
Man. But what a great weekend if you're the Chiefs. The Bengals look terrible. There are 3 teams in the AFC that won that you go, yep, they're going to be in it this week. It was the Ravens. We all think they're going to be in the mix.
Mhm.
The Jags, I think they're going to be in the mix. And the Dolphins. I think the Dolphins are going to be in the mix as long as Tua stays healthy. But we all know that's one lightly tackled quarterback away. That's it. Otherwise, there's no other team. And guess what? The Chiefs play the Jags coming up next week. Not next week. They play them this week.
This week.
Yeah. We'll get a timeout coming up next. New power couple. That's right. Travis Kelce might have a new boo. My final word, could the new power couple come from Arrowhead Stadium? That's right, from the Messenger. Nearly 2 months after Travis Kelce tried to give Taylor Swift his number, a source tells the Messenger that the duo has linked up. Quote, Travis and Taylor have been quietly hanging out, a source said. She saw him when she was in New York City a few weeks ago. The Messenger reached out to Swift and Kelce for comment, did not get anything back. In July, Kelce tried and failed to pass his phone number on. Failed, air quotes. Maybe this was all a ploy to keep, the paparazzi off of their back. But how about that? Could New Heights coming up this week mention this? I'm excited about it.
Oh, it has to.
Yeah, I'm sure they will.
Jason will definitely bring it up. Shout out to Sucre Wolodarski, man. He played his hand. Pulled up from 40 and nothing but net.
I am I want this to happen. I want Taylor Swift to be in a suite cheering on Travis Kelce. I hope this happens. What's their name gonna be? Trailer? That's Travis and Taylor combined.
Probably not that.
No, that's not gonna work.
That's Laney Wilson's nickname.
Swills.
You got a trailer. Yeah, that's for sure. I like that one, Brandon. That was well done.
Thanks.
I don't know. I need, we need Benifer, Brangelina. We need something. How can you combine Kelce and Swift?
Swift.
Quift? I don't know. But either way, I want it to happen.
Final word for me today is that it sucks for Aaron Rodgers. It blows. I don't know. There's really nothing else to say about it. It might be it for his career. I don't think he'll try to come back. I'm sure he will.
Coming back at 40.
That's 40 years old after that kind of injury. It just blows. It's bad for the NFL.
Final word for me, watching Breece Hall do his thing last night, the Wichita Northwest product. I thought about Linda Gregory. That's a name you might have heard in the news recently. A woman who was a photographer and took pictures at Wichita Northwest football games, among other events in Wichita. Tragically lost her life last week. She was suffered a head injury while photographing the Wichita Northwest JV game and tragically lost her life.
Was it during the game?
Yeah.
Oh,
it happened during the game. Yeah, terrible thing. Linda was very somebody I got to know in my time in Wichita, 2013, 2014. With her and her husband Mel were very, very good to me, very, very friendly, and I've remembered that kindness that they showed me. I've carried that with me always, and was devastated to hear of Linda's passing. But she loved Breece Hall. I mean, she was the biggest Breece Hall fan there was, spoke highly of him as a person, spoke highly of him as a football player. And I know that wherever she is, she enjoyed seeing Breece Hall do his thing last night.
That'll do it for this edition of 580 Sports Talk. We will come back tomorrow. We got a lot to get to on a Wednesday. We'll hear from Andy Reid, Patrick Mahomes, talk a little college football as well. But we got a Royals doubleheader coming up next, right here on 580 WIBW. Talk tomorrow at 2.